Hi, this is a response to Valerie's post, and then Brenda had also responded to Brenda's um, post, her initial post. I was um, I was taken aback by how five attendings can truly make and behave so poorly and think that it's okay, but with my experience, short lived as it was, with trying to manage um, physicians. Not my providers, my mid. I don't like to use the term, but my mid levels, the PAs and the nurse practitioners, all seem to have a positive attitude. I had one particular physician who was, thank goodness, he was a locum, and there were many issues. I mean, patient safety issues, morale issues, and to it was very important for me and the organization that I somehow remove him from the situation. Ultimately, it was kind of sad because there were probably actually professional reasons to get rid of him, but I couldn't get him to stay off of his iPhone. Um, and nobody else in the office was allowed to, text or do any of those things with their phone unless they were on break. And it was mostly, customer service issues. And this guy liked to play Words with Friends all day long. Found him sleeping once in an exam room. He'd been hired prior to me coming. He actually, if anybody watched my other post, he was the doc that replaced the doctor who had committed suicide by cops. So I was willing to be short a physician just to remove him from the organization because he was toxic. And I can't imagine having five providers who can't get along. You know, you've got the constant change in the orders, the open animosity. I mean, that increases your cost. It lost revenue because people are going to go, if they have a choice, someplace else. Um, Both from a standpoint of community members when they hear about what's going on, and if somebody's trying to refer, are people going to refer to your unit as opposed to, if there's a choice, to another unit? Um, it must be costly and exhausting to have that much tension going on all the time. I mean, the other thing is in the one article, I like the article, the Halderman article on that went from dysfunction to grace, but you end up with um, self protection because you always want to make sure you're covering your back. You've got to worry about the patient's safety if you're always chasing new orders and conflicting orders. So that makes you and your nursing staff ineffective because you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the current order? Does this make sense? Um, I can't imagine trying to explain the continual changes of the plan of care to the families of your patients. Um, and then there's got to be some decisiveness, I would think, based on if somebody, you've got one or two attendings that you really know are on the ball. So where does the allegiance of most of the staff go? And it's got to be an unfortunate lack of better, like a quagmire of things to do, um, and it seems like you've got a leadership, and I don't know this, but a leadership vacuum of some sort that needs to be taken care of. It's really hard, depending upon where you are. The clinic I was managing was up in Truth or Consequences, so to recruit new staff into such a interesting area. I mean, we were a critical access hospital, 80 miles from anywhere, so trying to get somebody other than if you were going for loan repayment and that's not always guaranteed. How do you say and make it enticing? Um, there's not enough money in the world to make some people happy in that situation. Um, and I also find that if people don't find the work rewarding, and their home life is, you can't, money doesn't buy happiness. So, Valerie, I would think there needs to be a replacement of your management and probably the attendings or some kind of intervention. Usually providers have a high sense of self-esteem, so if take it, at least a shot at taking them off site and getting them to air their differences. I know you can't give them boxing gloves, but it's a thought. And then to give everybody the same vision and, put together a plan of change. This is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. And get people's buy-in. The other thing that I really believe in, long ago and far away, when I first became a manager, now I'll be telling my age, but my organization sent me off to about a week and a half training, and it was purely on coaching. I'd been a high performance individual contributor. I was pretty reluctant actually to take over a management job. But one of the best things that anybody ever did for me was, how to coach for good performance. And Halderman talked about coaching. The other thing is keep going back and revisiting the plan. Make sure that everybody's on the same page. There's a long haul ahead of trying to fix an organization that's that dysfunctional without perhaps totally cleaning house. But they're probably very specialized providers. As the baby boomers age, and there's a greater need and stress on the healthcare system, it's harder to do and to change, but to change actual people and physicians. But I like it began in the beginning of my post. I was happy to run short a physician just so it was my first big. This is I don't take it. His behavior is unacceptable. I gave him multiple changes, attempts to change. He just didn't quite understand why I would be upset about the cell phone or the reading of the paper at the nursing station or falling asleep the list went on. And even when you talk to him, it didn't take. Later found out this is horrible, but he had a TBI. So that was probably part of his personality problems that I was also having with patients, the high ups and downs and sideways. So getting rid of a physician is also a difficult thing to do just by the nature of how they're peer managed, etc. But it was worth it, and the team started coming around when I made the one personnel change. So, Valerie, good luck. Brenda, I think I'm going to go find your book about high velocity culture change, because it's one of those things that it's really hard to do. I like to read about it because then it gives me hope for some of the things that I'm encountering now in my current job. Thank you.